Hello, everyone. Good evening. You're welcome to Let's Discuss, where we talk about practical matters without the religious veil being pulled over. We talk about things that impacted us, things that are real, most of it Bible-based, but without the, how will I call it, without the orthodoxy of religion, which at times hinders rather than educates. And today I'm so excited that we have a all-star cast on Let's Discuss this evening. I'm so excited, and I'll introduce those two. But before I introduce them, I'll say welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Feel free to drop comments, contributions, and your thoughts in the chat. Feel free to share, like, and for those of you watching this afterwards, feel free to still ask or get in touch with us or reach out. Don't think the program has ended and the show has ended. There's still opportunities for you. Today, we'll be talking about a very important topic. What makes a good song? I don't need to define what a song is. We all know a song. I'm sure we all have our favorite song as well. And there's this notion that a song, everyone has their taste in music, which is true. But we've seen over the years that there are some songs that's cut across different tastes, and they've become sort of what people call anthems. And we would address that. And to address that topic, I have two incredible people with me. First is Damilare. He's the founder. So a lot of you may not know, he's the music director of Unboxedpraise, and he's the founder of Beats Hype Studios. Welcome, Damilare, all the way from Lagos.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay, yeah, it's a pleasure. And we have my own person, Professor Warren, all the way from South Africa. He's my brother. In fact, I think there are some people they've called us evil twins on some when he was in the UK. And I was sharing with just before we started, he resurrected Unboxedpraise at the time where I was discouraged. Yes, it's true. That's all the motivational things. People get discouraged. And he single-handedly received the word from the Lord and acted on it, and we're back on track. So yeah, so welcome everyone. Okay, I can see there are a lot of people already showing love. Okay, I'm happy to see Dr. Slims. Okay, that's Damilare. Yeah, Priscilla. So let's go quickly and thanks everyone saying hello. Hello, Prof, and hello, Brother Damilare Twale. Okay, thanks everyone. It's going to be a very interesting one, and I promise not to do a lot of the talking. So I'll hand over to Damilare, but the first thought in my head as I hand over to him to speak is most times I did a research recently and discovered that Sinach, Nathaniel Bassey, and a few top gospel musicians, I looked at the people who follow them, and I saw that after following them, the next person they followed were Afrobeats artists like Davido. So I'm not saying it's bad or wrong, but the fact is that we go to church, listen to gospel music, and at times some people on the way to church are listening to Afrobeats or some other songs. Or you go to church, a wedding, you hear the word of God, you come out reception. Even the pastors are dancing to Afrobeats and some other songs like that, which we call worldly song and frown at. What makes a good song? Because I know it's about the song itself. What makes a good song? And I'll hand over to Damilare to kick us off.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's good to be here again. My name is Damilare David, as introduced by our father in music, Mr. Adeolu. So yeah, let me just get straight to this because I know we have very limited time.
No fun.
A good song, a good song. I hope I will not be saying some things that are controversial. Like you said, some gospel artists are following Davido, following Burna Boy, and all of that, and then we listen to some of the songs sometimes. So a song connects to you, not basically sometimes because of the message. I want to believe that we are humans, humans. We are a connection of emotions. Do you understand? So what I'm feeling right now can be charismatic, and what I'm feeling at other times can be, I just want to express a certain feeling or emotion, like I said. So a good song is a good song to an individual. Actually, it is what meets your need at that particular time. This song, to you as an individual. Now, I'm not saying to the market, entirely. Of course, to the gospel, a good song is a song that worships Jesus, a song that worships God. But a good song to an individual is what meets the individual's needs, emotional need, that particular time. Like that's for the individual. So when we're looking at the markets, the music markets, we are saying, okay, what makes a good song? You'd be surprised sometimes it is not a good beat. It's not a sometimes it's not even the lyrics. I'm talking about the secular world now. It might just be the vibe of what is happening. There are so many creatives now that are using people's video to make good songs. Take for instance, there are excerpts of videos, and then people just make good songs out of that. You understand? The quality might not be very, very good, but it's a good song. It's a good vibe. It has a good vibe, and it's trending. It's getting a whole lot of attention. So when you say good song, it actually is a very broad definition, depending on it's subjective. If it is in church, what makes a good song? If it is if it is secular, what makes a good song? If it is to an individual, what makes a good song? So it is subjective, like I said. It depends on what you are feeling at that time to you, and then if it is based on the standard of okay, what we want to hear, you know, what can collect Grammy. Of course, we all know, yeah, this sound, how clean the recording is, what studio, what instrument did they use to record, what equipment rather did they use to record, and all of that. So a good song actually is very subjective. That's my opening. That's my opinion. I don't know what you think about it, Warren.
Yeah, I could be a bit biased as well because I'm more into like the instrumental side of it. So I'll put a couple of pointers. I think for me a good song is musical synchronization. Sometimes you have some instruments that are overpowering. Like sometimes I think Emmanuel and I may have been at some places where the bass guitarist is a bit too loud.
You're talking as a musician, right?
Yeah,
That's what
so
I'm
it
saying.
it
So it's
drowns out the
subjective.
acoustics. Yeah, the piano. You don't
Yeah.
hear some of the notes on the piano and stuff. So yeah, I think one key thing for me is musical synchronization, and also you got to have a good guy in the mixer and independent speakers on like the bass guitar, the acoustic guitar. Don't put everything through the same channel. Yeah, that's my main thing, and I look at also the beat as well, how the bass guitarist comes in and syncs with the drum, the bass drum. So yeah, those are my key things I listen for.
Okay. Okay. No, thank those are, and please everyone feel free to drop your thoughts as well. I think these are really good contributions. I wanted to ask a question as well. Because from the way you've both described it, sort of it resonates in me as well. I did a bit of research to just find out the top best-selling songs of all time, so that we can have like a basis for comparison. And I discovered that White Christmas, sung by Bill Bing Cosby, is the number one best-selling song of all time. So that doesn't mean in terms of streams, or it just means people physically buying the record. And thankfully, Silent Night was like number six or something. And I discovered that almost every Christmas day, people sing those songs, and those songs are like they're seen as classic. I want to ask, is it the is there like a spirit behind good songs that everything just, when you just hear it, you're captivated? Because I hope people don't take this the wrong way. At times I listen to some songs that even gospel, and at times you just fall asleep. Is it that there's an element of the spirit behind the song, or is it, like we said, we've said it's subjective, but if a lot of people are buying those particular music, that means, and every Christmas we're hearing those songs, does it mean that there's a spirit behind those songs that make people want to buy? Because there's a lot of things I hear that there's things like different groups like Illuminati or so, that if you join them, your song, becomes very popular and things like that. But Silent Night isn't like a pop song, and it sold a lot. So for songs that are doing well, that are really resonating with a lot of people, is it the spirit behind the song? Is it the beat? Is it how will I call it? Is it the sound? Is it the way the lyrics? So if you were to sort of like just sort of like point out three things or three things, what would it be? Is it the spirit? Because we've heard a lot of good songs that a lot of people just don't like.
I think I should allow Warren to go first.
Thanks, Prof.
I would say it's the spirit, but I could be biased on that because maybe I've read up a little bit more on it than the average person.
No, please share.
But yeah, I do believe that some music that we listen to is not really as gospel, supposed gospel as well. It's not really rendered to the God of Israel, and it's rendered to someone else, and we know that other person is. That may be controversial to say this, and you'll notice that a lot of their music is very popular. So if you go on YouTube or something like that and you look at the views, it's like in the millions. But like something like a classic hymn, it's not doesn't sound hip or pop at this moment to engage a certain what can I say uh, engage a certain agenda of people or a sector of people, so people wouldn't want to listen to it. So I believe there's a spiritual element behind those songs that attracts those people to it, and it's not something that's really talked about a lot because it's so hidden. But yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I feel then let's just put that it meets the need of people. So we celebrate Christmas every time, and then somebody was smart enough, to write a song in that line. So talking about good songs, sometimes it is you have to prepare for it. You have to be smart about it. Okay, Valentine is coming. Let me write a very good song for Valentine. And then somebody is smart enough to write it in a very good way, actually. And then, like you said, the spirit behind it, I don't really think it's the spirit behind it. I think it is the energy behind it. Let me just use the word energy. The energy behind writing the lyrics, the energy behind who you were working with at that particular time. And then that's, when you guys synchronize, the producer, the writer, and the singer, it brings this sort of energy that is evergreen, and that is why we continue to listen to Silent Nights. So that's my opinion, actually.
Okay. No, thank you. I also have, you can say, and please, everyone, feel free to ask questions as well, so that it's not me asking all the questions. But this topic has really fascinated me, and I did a bit of reading into it. One thing I also found out, which was interesting, was that most most songs, like Dan Larry said, most songs, there is usually a team that walks towards it. And I was now looking at a lot of gospel songs and the typical gospel song. And please, feel free to correct me. The person, and before I say the typical gospel song, one of the, I think we did a video about it, that Amazing Grace. It was um, written by someone, and someone else gave the tune to that song. But I discovered that with worldly tunes or worldly music, would we say they take it a bit more seriously than gospel musicians? And the reason I'm saying that is that you see them working as a team towards something, towards that song. And the person writing or playing or this thing, they're amending. But in some cases with gospel music, you'd find the person gets the message or the inspiration, and at times they're either not okay. Let me list a few of the challenges. One, they're either not flexible as to working with people to bring the best out of that song, or two, the cost of doing a proper production is so high, or three, they are not musically inclined to understand what good music is. At times they just go to meet someone because Brother Akin or somebody plays this thing very well. It now ends up being their producer. And what the producer will do is, because he just plays songs, or maybe he's listened to some jazz music, or he's gotten inspiration from something that is not godly or something, he'll just play those things in his head, and as such the song just sounds normal. So would we say that there is a challenge between good Christian music, producing good Christian music today, and secular music, or do they have the same challenges?
I think they have the same challenges. You made a very, very important point. Who you're like, it's the team. Like Bible says, can two work together except they agree? Like if you're bringing a song to a producer, how well does the producer know your sound? Like how well can the producer interpret your sound? How experienced is the producer when it comes to producing your kind of music, your genre of music? That Don Jazzy is very popular now doesn't mean he can do some genre of songs. Do you understand? Like, how well does he know that genre of song? So, like you said earlier, it's a sort of a team thing. The producer understands the artist understands the producer, and one of the works of the producer, is to bring out the artist's mind, like the closest thing to the artist's mind. So if a producer is not doing that, the producer is just being selfish. So that's definitely is not going to work. But if you have a producer that understands your mind, understands your music, understands why you wrote the song, well, sometimes it depends on the artist, right? I feel the artists are not they are not detailed about some of these things. Why am I writing this song? What do I want to sound like? Who am I sending this message to? Why am I writing it? Do you get what I'm saying? So if the producer, doesn't have adequate information about things like that, he just wants to do all of himself, in the music, and then he's not interpreting the mind of the artist. That's my opinion. Actually. So it is in the gospel sometimes. Yes, some songs, the intros are so wild, and then the song is just very simple, and then sometimes you have a very dull song, and then the instrumentation is very good. I feel it is an interpretation thing from the producer to the artist. It is in both sides, the gospel and secular. Sometimes when you guys want reach a sort of understanding, just do whatever you guys like. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one important thing is a Christian platform we should mention as well is that the devil himself was one of the
Hmm.
visions, and he is obviously roaring on this earth like a lion at the moment. So he's going to use any form of deception to steer us away from the true gospel of Jesus Christ. So we must, I think we must all as believers we should be discerning of certain music. Like we said, there's a spiritual element to it, so we need to be careful and pray about it. And if there's no agreement in your spirit, then pray about it. So it's a key thing, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll explore a bit more about the one of the things you've said about some songs which we think are gospel, but they are not really gospel. I think we need to sort of expose a bit more of that. But I want to take some of the comments. So there's a comment by Professor Emeritus. So he said, I'll read it out because not everyone will be able to see it, that Jose Feliciano, hope I got that right, the composer of the song Feliz Navidad. I think we all know that song, Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad was composed in 10 minutes in 1970 and released, in 1970 by him, who was born blind. It was described as the simplest song ever written. It has 19 words, 6 in Spanish and 3 in English, which is I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart, repeated as long as necessary. Sorry, 1 minute. And he said, okay, he said, he recalled, okay, he said, I wanted a song that belonged to the masses. He recalls why being interviewed. He said he wanted a song that belonged to the masses and said, Feliz Navidad seems, Merry Christmas in Spanish. And someone has also said, some music are truly spiritual. They just grabs you from the first notes. Good music is good music. Some of the best music I've heard are not even gospel. Professionalism plays a huge role, really, and that's true. Okay, yeah, welcome back. So one thing I also wanted to say, I did some research as well, and this was from a film. Some of us will know Johnny Cash is really popular, and this was a film about his true story, his life story, and in the film he went to the studio and was playing in the studio. He was playing gospel music in the studio, and when he was playing gospel music, the studio personnel told him, "Okay, I've heard this before. I've heard this before. Play something else." He played another gospel, and the person said, if you're about to die and have maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes to live, what song will you sing? Then he had written a song about a particular thing. I can't remember what he wrote about, and he sang that song, and that song became a hit. And the rest is history. Johnny Cash became very popular, even though his greatest achievement was doing something in a prison where he sang hymns, and that was his greatest achievement. The big question I want to ask is, why does it appear that it's easier to succeed in secular music than with gospel?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'll pose that to Warren.
Sorry, my video is up and down.
Okay.
That is an interesting question.
Hmm.
I mean, you can approach this question from many ways. Why is it easier? I mean, if we go back to what we said, that the devil himself had instruments built within himself, so
Hmm.
he's been cast down to earth. His agenda is to obviously deceive as many, or pull them away from the true gospel.
Hmm.
So I believe well, then this is personal. I don't push the journey. I personally believe that the music sector is one way which he uses to cause this sort of deception. That many people are led down a certain way, thinking this is the right stuff, but in the end, it leads them away from Jesus. So, and the rewards for those that actually go down that route is I would say they're quite handsome. You know,
Mm,
to supposedly go into cahoots with him. But that's my personal view of it.
yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know.
I think
Don't know
that,
if
yeah,
we've got Damn Larry back.
yeah. It'd also be nice to hear from the audience what their thoughts on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think there are few comments here. So yeah, Yonda, she says some music are truly spiritual. They just grab you from the first note. Good music is good music. Some of the best music I've heard are not even gospel. Professionalism plays a huge role. And there's another aspect she's raised here, which I want us to go into as well. It's very important. She said, my question is, I grew up listening to diverse sounds. Most of these sounds are not gospel, but they teach morals and values, and they still bless me today. Do I still categorize them as secular?
I don't know. I would just ask the question: if you were in heaven, would you be singing that song?
Mm,
And who is that song rendered to? If it's the
mm,
King of Kings, then I wouldn't say it's secular, but anything else. But
mm,
it's just subjective.
yeah.
What
Okay.
was, what's your thoughts on
Yeah. I and this might be a bit controversial, but and I would welcome people's views as well. I believe music there are different types of music. Even in the Bible, there were specific instructions about some particular songs and things like that. And even the Psalms were different. I believe there's the music we offer to worship and to connect with God.
it?
And there's some music which can be seen as being inspirational and motivational. But I get your point, because I know a song, I wouldn't mention the person's name. Or growing up, it was a song that even my parents used to advise us that you need to be good, you need to be good children, you need to obey the law, you need to work hard. But the person who wrote the song ended up being arrested for trafficking hard drugs,
Hmm.
and I believe died in prison. I think so. Um, so so that now introduces a conflict between some people writing songs. So it's almost like, do what I say, not what I do. And
Hmm.
that's where, so I believe that there's some songs which are meant to encourage us, or which are meant for values and things like that. And there's the spiritual song which we use to connect with God. But
Hmm.
the challenge will now be in mixing all of it together. So if I want to worship God, there's some songs I want to listen to, because even your spirit will let you know the right songs you want to, you know, sing to God and things like that. So that's my own view. I know a
Hmm.
few people's view is it's all gospel or nothing. But I believe there are things like we've talked about. There's things like Christmas. Could there be gospel songs for Christmas? Yes, if there are, we could listen to them and things like that. But I believe it's in different buckets.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, but like I said, which would lead to the second question I wanted to ask, and sort of true. And this is my last bit of research. Um, I was always fascinated about drug use amongst professional musicians, people who sing and have won lots of award. And some of them, this lady Julie Garland, who sang um, "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," "Wizard of Oz," and things like that. She was a child prodigy, and towards her last days, she shed a lot of light, and some musicians have shed a lot of light. Apparently, some of the drug use is not due to them, um, not due to, it's due to them, they're using the drugs at times to influence their creativity. So they, what I learned is that some of them use drugs in order to take them to that place where they can
Mm.
either get over their past experiences or their past bitterness and not to heal from it. And that's one thing I want to quickly emphasize. It's not to heal from it, it's to get inspiration to produce a hit song.
Mm.
And because they go into all those things, they're going into their past, because some of them, they, what they've identified, because there's no free gift from the devil, is that at times songs from a personal pain connects more with people emotionally, because it's almost like a sacrifice. I don't know, their spiritual elements, we won't go too much into them, but that is part of the reasons I've been told why a lot of people use drugs. And that's why you find a lot of successful people who sing songs, worldly songs, are on drugs, because they need to connect with their past. They need to get ideas and inspiration to come up with a song that will connect with people.
Mm.
Uh, and the question I wanted to ask around that is, uh, the question I wanted to ask around that is, what do we do, going forward as Christians, because you're now singing songs and you're competing with people who are really going to the next level. Some are going into the occult, some are going into using drugs, past, going back to their pains to pull out inspiration. And like we said, what connects with people. And that's why the book of Psalms is more used than even some of the gospel. Because when many people pray, a lot of us still pray using Psalms. And it's because it's someone's experience and someone, what somebody is going through. There's that emotional connection. And
Mm.
so people of the world are using that to get hit songs, to, not in all cases are bad, but as Christian, because we have some songwriters amongst us, we have music ministers, and also we have people as well. Everyone here is concerned about the gospel. What do we need to do going forward to ensure that the tide reverses, so that the worship of and music of God now begins to dominate, and we're not forcing people to listen to it, but it's something that everyone now listens to, even the unbelievers, and now act as sort of evangelistic tools. Yeah, so that's a long question for you, Warren.
um, a lot of, well, most of the times, a lot of artists and instrumentalists, it's more about themselves. Promoting themselves. This is who I am. This is what I do. But I mean, this is my personal view. It's more about, if it's gospel, it should be more about Jesus Himself. So
Mm,
it shouldn't be about you. You are just a vessel that is being used for this time, to propagate or spread the gospel through your music. So when you put the emphasis more on Jesus and less on you, I believe the music has a much larger impact. because people are not following, oh, this singer, that artist. They're like, oh, that music, I really connect with it. When I listen to it, I really feel that God is speaking through to me through it. So yeah, maybe less emphasis on you and more on who we are singing the song to. Um, but it's difficult in this world that we live in because
Mm.
self-image and people's pride and
Yeah.
hubris as well. I think these are difficult things to work
So,
with.
exactly. So, yeah, your dad said what we should do is in the book of life, which is worship in truth and in
Hmm.
spirit. And I think this is a good one to now to to talk a bit about some people who apparently sing. We're not judging anybody, but it's just sort of
Yes.
like just making it okay. Good. I think we have Dam Larry back. Um, okay, so you've missed a lot of the of the questions, but we'll let you handle this one. That how do we worship in spirit and in truth? And how do we ensure our songs reflect that? Uh, okay, I think the network is still bad. Okay.
What are your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, I think it's like what you started talking about, that we we shouldn't. One of the temptations of Jesus was the enemy telling him, Satan telling him, bow down and
Mm.
I'll give you the glory of the world. That is, you don't need to go through all the hardship. You don't need to take the risk that you wouldn't achieve what you want to achieve. And I will give you what you want. So the encouragement is that for anyone in gospel, let's worship God in spirit and in truth, and let's not cut corners. Let's not get worldly power to
Mm.
support, Christian music, because you may deceive everyone, but you can't deceive God.
Mm.
And there is a lot of activities around that seems to be going on. And the prayer is that God touches people's hearts, not to sell out for fame, and not to bow to the devil
Mm.
as
And
a shortcut to
we're talking about temperamental fame and fortune as well. Um,
exactly.
so it is a
Mm,
sad situation.
yeah. So thanks, Warren. Unfortunately, it seems Dan Larry's connection
Mm.
is acting up. But we'll begin to wrap up. So thanks everyone for staying and for the contributions we've had. If there are any questions, please ask so that we're wrapping up in the next 2-3 minutes. Just wanted to thank everyone to say, well, this has been, I hope we've gained one thing or the other. We've deliberately not scripted today's topic because we just wanted to flow. And that's why I invited two people so that we can have a broader view and perspective of this topic.
Mm.
I believe what makes a good song is the spirit behind the song.
Mm.
And we need to be more prayerful, not just for our own songs, but for other people's songs. We need to begin to pray as the church for gospel musicians. We need to start praying for all their needs. We need to pray that they worship God in spirit and in truth.
Mm.
And we need to also begin to support. I know a few ministries support gospel musicians, but the reality of it is that there's so many, and I can count 10, 15. There are so many gospel musicians in church who didn't receive any support or
Mm,
received limited support, who are now in secular music,
mm,
and they are doing well in secular music. As in doing well, maybe on the surface, we are not sure what's going on underneath, but um,
mm,
it's for us to now begin to support gospel musicians.
no.
Even on social media, some people might say, well, I don't have a lot of money. Even on social media, if you're scrolling, looking through things, look at some gospel music people, listen to it. If you like it, give a good comment, encourage them. Those little things really help,
Mm,
because if a gospel musician has or minister has money, put something together out there, and people are not watching it or liking it or interacting, I'm not saying because it's called gospel, go and listen. I'm just saying, we should support, even if it's just 5 or 6 of us here and 9
mm,
of us. If we're doing that, there will be a small change, and hopefully that change will begin to get bigger. Let us support the ministers we trust. Let us encourage them, send them messages, pray for them,
mm.
um, watch their events, like, subscribe if you really enjoy the music, so that slowly we begin to promote our own. Yeah. So that's me. Any closing remark, Warren, as we close down?
Yeah, no, there's some really good points. I mean, like supporting local people, that are up and coming. So
Mm,
something that sometimes we are very bad at. We want to support people that are big, but people are actually doing the right stuff, worshiping God,
yeah.
as some of our comments in said in Spirit and Truth, but we don't want to work. We don't want to support them because we think they're small.
Yeah.
It's good. And I also would say, and this is a closing thing, that sometimes we sing songs, especially gospel songs, and I always it's something of recent that I found that I go through the lyrics. Sometimes you're caught up in this sort of zone. You just sing a song, but sometimes spend some time. Download the lyrics and go through it and say, who am I singing this song to? Who is this song actually to? And this could be for gospel songs too. And one way this sort of I've been enlightened in the sense I've been watching some videos recently, and you're more than welcome to go and watch it. It's called The Third Adam by Spencer Smith, and Emmanuel and I have watched it as well, and it's quite an eye opener to some areas in the music sector. And if you do want the link, please reach out. And I'm not saying the guy's everything is correct, but he sheds light on some key areas in worship songs where we need to be a bit more careful of what we listen to.
Mm,
But yeah, no, great to be on the platform. God
yeah.
bless you.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Warren. And thank you so much, Dan Lara. I know it's had a few network issues. And thanks everyone for watching and supporting. And I would encourage us to continue to do this and continue to do more for the gospel artists as well. Reach out, bless the ones you know in your heart are singing to God. It may not be financially, it may just be word of prayer, encouragement. That tells a lot. So yeah, so success is saying very, very true. The parts of support is key. One of the main thing we do in Unboxedpraise as well is we're trying to build a platform by the grace of God, not us, but God, trying to build a platform where we can showcase people. You have a message for the world. We want to have the ability for anyone to come on our platform without favoritism or knowing anybody or attending a church. We're not even a church, we're a movement, and have that opportunity to showcase and share your message with the world. And we want you to continue to support us. We would have events as well if you want to attend. We had the Unbox Expressions in Lagos about 2 weeks ago. We'll have the video out soon. We're having some Christian creative meetup both in Lagos and by grace of God, Ogbomoso very soon. Feel free to go and support people. Like we said, one of the ways we can win this battle and the war is by us supporting our own and making sure that they feel motivated and encouraged to continue. And God will help us all in Jesus' name. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful week. What makes a good song is the spirit behind the song. And the God will help us to ensure we, gospel artists, we write the songs that would be considered good. And for us that are listening, God will help us to listen to good songs. And check out that recommendation by Warren. There are a lot of common popular songs we sing that if you really check out what you are eating or digesting in terms of that content, you'll be really surprised. So please, because a song is popular or sung by a popular artist, please make sure you back and just check the words. Just check that you understand it and you're comfortable with it, because there's a lot of things going on now, and God will help us in Jesus' name. So thanks, everyone. If you have any comments for us, private feedback, observation, please, we're open to it. Send it to us. And until next week, when we're having our part 2 of strategic evangelism, God bless. Have a wonderful week and keep listening to the right songs. God bless.
Cheers.